Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday to you. It is January 11th. I cannot believe how fast this month is already cranking along, but it is. So let's get after it. I'm going to talk about psychology in a sailboat hull today. That's the topic. Techniques that have worked in the past, and maybe they're not now, but if you modify them slightly, you'll get some better results. That's what this episode's going to be about. Let's see what we can come up with. I really like that intro music, so I thought I'd try something different. Start off blabbing, let you get some good, inspiring day-starting music, day-ending music, however you want to look at it. And then I'll talk again. So here we are. The topic today, psychology in a sailboat hull, came to me as I was polishing the hull of my sailboat. It's an older boat, needs work yearly. The first year was aggressive. It took a lot of work. And it came out okay. Second year of ownership, I wanted it to be even better, so I put some more time into it. Thought, well, since I put all the effort in last year, I'm sure it'll be much easier this year. It was not. One of the things when you're kind of restoring an old hull, it takes a lot of elbow grease, and I put that in the first year I owned the boat. Lots of passes over and over and over, trying to get it to come to me, and that there was so many different faded spots, and a boat that sits outside that long, it's got work that needs to be done. TLC, right? So I'm going to tell you the first year was aggressive. Hours and hours. I spent so many days in that shop getting that boat ready. Well, this year I thought, okay, it was outside, of course, for the whole sailing season, but then put away and not abused, not, a direct sound. It wasn't terrible. So I thought, okay, this will be just a polish year, not so much a bring it back year. And something Dad used to say to me all the time was, don't force it, let it come to you. It'll come to you if you just keep doing it right. Just be patient. Patience is not my middle name. Well, this year I'm ahead of schedule, no big rush. I'm thinking to myself that it will take half the amount of time that the first year took. Seems reasonable, considering I used rubbing compound and then polished last year. This year should have been easier in my mind. That's the logic I was going with anyway. So I get it washed, bring it back to the barn, pull it inside so I'm out of the sun. I do everything per the instructions. It's not always the way it works, but this time I'm doing it that way. It's expensive compound, and I don't want to waste it or my time. Well, I start on the port side, favorite side. For whatever reason, that one usually came to me a little easier, and I'll be damn 4 hours in, and I am not done with that side. It's just not coming to me, as Dad would say. Now, mind you, I'm about 2 inches from the surface when I'm looking at it, and you can see every flaw, every scratch, ding, faded spot, what needs to be repainted. You can see it all. Stuff you wouldn't see from the dock, but when you're up that close, that's the time to get it right. So after examining the port side and being rather frustrated after 4 hours, I thought, let's grab a pop, and we'll sit down and think about what to do, reread the instructions, do some YouTube videos with that exact compound. It was a 3M compound. It was incredibly expensive. I thought this would be the stuff. So I sat down, I had the pop, and did some YouTube, and I wasn't doing anything other than not leaning into it. So the same thing that I've done year after year after year was not working this year. Light pressure, nice light pressure, just consistent light pressure, and plenty of compound, and it usually works. It wasn't this year. Temperature was the same. Maybe the humidity was a little different, but honestly, it was the same boat, same stuff. The only thing that was different was my attitude, because I set some expectations thinking that the effort that I put in should pay off in the future and should be less work because I've already put the work in. Anybody start seeing where I'm going with this whole analogy? Sailboat, psychology in a sailboat, effort, consistency, expectations, effort. Again, did I say effort? So I thought, all right, let's do this. Let's lean into it. Let's really put the effort. Let's put the pressure on this particular effort, on this particular project, and see what happens. We'll find a spot that's not normally that exposed, which on a sailboat everything is, but I was frustrated, so I said, hell with it. What am I going to do? Hurt one spot. So I taped off a 2x2 spot and went to work. So off we go. I start leaning on it and pushing really hard on this, my little orbital. It's a buffer and you can smell the motor heating up. That's how hard I was pushing on this. Medium pressure was maybe medium to heavy, and I was leaning on it, and that thing was jumping all over the place. It got outside the tape once, but you'd get to the smooth spot and it wouldn't bite, and then you get to a rougher spot and it would bite and jump around, and you're working your ass off to try to get this thing right. You were putting the pressure on, you're doing something different, it's jumping all over, and now you're second guessing yourself. Am I doing the right thing? So after a few minutes of smelling hot electric motor and hands sweating and that thing jumping all over, I decided, all right, let's take a look. Let's kind of towel it off. We'll let it dry. Then we'll towel off the residue, whatever's left, and see what we got. Let's see if the new way, the higher pressure way, the more intense way works. So I did that. I let it dry, wiped off whatever was left with a clean towel, went outside, got away from it so I had some more perspective. You know, when you sit and stare at something for so long, you think you notice everything, but you don't. You're too close to it. You're immersed in that small piece of the project, whatever that project is, and that was that 2x2 piece of fiberglass on a white sailboat. So I shot the breeze with my neighbor. Always enjoy that. We talked Ford versus Chevy a little bit, and just good conversation. I said, all right, got to get back to work. And I walked back in, put the light exactly on that 2x2 spot, and I will be damned if it didn't look great. It really came to me. That effort, that extra push, the heated motor, the jumping around, the uncomfortable, everything it did, it actually worked. That was the good news. It worked. The effort worked. The pressure worked. And then you look at this gigantic project in front of you, that little 2x2 square foot piece was just a fraction of what had to be done on both sides of that boat. And if I wanted it right, you have to put the work in. So off I went. We're going to redo this whole port side. 22-foot boat. It's not big, but there's a lot of surface area that needs to be attended to. So I took the tape off, added some compound to the wheel, and went after it. And I did that whole side in one day. It took me almost 7 hours. But jumping around, you're done for the day. Your shoulders you can feel it. You got to work out. Your hands are cramping. Your everything, elbows, everything, because you're standing up on a ladder, on a stool, because it's in the air so high. I went to get a pop, sit down and admire my awesome work, and I'll be damned if I didn't drop that thing. My hands were numb from that orbital bouncing around and that smell of that burning little motor. I'm like, you know what? I've had this thing for years. If I burn it up, it's fine. I'll get a new one. But it stuck with me, and it worked. The extra pressure worked. I was too afraid to do that. I didn't want to apply the pressure. I didn't want to push that hard to get the results I wanted. I'll just do the same thing, light, multiple times, go at it, keep going at it, nice and smooth. Don't disturb anything. Don't risk damage. Don't risk anything. There's no risk in going light. There's no risk in going light except potential loss of return of effort. That's a huge potential loss. If you don't put the effort in, if you don't push, you know what your results are going to be. Not what you want, not optimum, maybe not even close to what you want. But, you can tell yourself, well, I tried. I put the work in, and it just didn't work for me. I can't go any harder than I can. I don't want to risk damage or permanence. Bullshit. If I'd have kept doing it the same way, light pressure, consistent, just going through the motions, I would have got the exact same results I had for the first 4 hours. Non-satisfactory, non-forward motion, and I would have been disappointed the entire sailing season because I'd have walked to that dock, seen the swirls. I might have seen things that other people didn't, but you're in it. This is your day. This is your psychology. This is your treatment, if you will. Sometimes you have to lean into it. Give her the berries. We used to say that when we were sailing, racing, and Matt would laugh every time. Loved that saying. Give her the berries. Lean into it. Put the pressure on. And you know what? Sometimes you have to put some risk into it to get the reward. Risk versus reward. One of my favorite sayings is, fortune favors the bold. I'm pretty sure you folks know I didn't record this podcast to tell you how to polish an older sailboat. That's not it at all. This has something to do with something I've been fighting personally for a while, years actually, more than I'd like to admit. But I did the smooth, easy, go carefully, hope for the best, and maybe it'll come to me method for a long, long time, years. And maybe that was the instructions that I was reading, possibly. Didn't work. It's time for the pressure, and the pressure isn't on someone or anyone except for me. I need to put some work in here, and I started doing that. I did that in the fall a little bit, got away from it, went soft, easy, don't push it, don't risk anything. Well, now, after Christmas and some lack of communications, after reaching out, it's time to put the pressure on myself. Doing things the same way, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. And I don't want to be insane. I just don't. I mean, I could be crazy, but insane doesn't sound great at all. So yeah, the pressure. I'm going to risk it. I'm just going to put the pressure on myself, focus forward, lean into it a bit, and hope for the best. If I'd have burned up a 2x2 spot on that boat, it was fixable. Same here. Pressure, but in small amounts, small, dedicated locations, and see what we can come up with. I want a different year. I want to end this year differently than I ended it last year. And to do that, I'm going to get rid of this light polish, go a little heavier, lean into it, and I'm going to give life the berries. We'll see how things go. Hope this helped. I hope it gave you some idea. I hope it didn't seem too rambling, but it just, that came to me, and I made a note about it, and I was looking in my notebook for some inspiration. I saw that. And yeah, doing the same thing. Go light, hope for the best. Doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to push. That's what I'm going to do. All right, that's it for today. Hope you have a great week. As always, let me know what you think of this. I love the feedback. It gives me the juice to keep doing it. So there you have it. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.